Hello, and welcome to another SWTOR video guide. In this video, we will review the first boss of the upcoming R-4 Anomaly operation IP-CPT. First, a quick disclaimer. R-4 has not yet been released on live servers, so any mechanics and balancing are subject to change. This guide is a high-level overview of the fight and may not capture all mechanics or present the optimal strategy. The goal for this video is to introduce the boss and key fight mechanics. IP-CPT is overall a fairly straightforward fight. The keys to success are avoiding damage and debuffs from the arena hazards and using the corner panels to unshield bomb droids. Mechanic 1. Arena Hazards. IP-CPT has more arena hazards than any other fight in the game, so watching your position is very important. The room is split up into a 4x4 grid. During the fight, certain floor sections will be covered in fire called Elimination Cadence. These sections will go in similar patterns and groups of 4, such as perpendicular rows and columns, quadrants, or a chessboard pattern, for example. Refraction array lasers will also periodically be fired across the room from fixed positions. Standing in fire will continuously deal damage, while getting hit by a laser will deal damage once. Both the fire and lasers follow a consistent and predictable pattern and timing in every fight, so it can be very confusing at first, but will become more natural as you spend more time in this fight. The third hazard in this fight involves positional adjustment grenades placed on players that explode after 8.5 seconds. Minor grenades have a small AoE and deal low damage, while major grenades have a very large AoE and deal moderate damage. The minor grenade can mostly be ignored, but their major grenade should always be taken out of the group. Mechanic 2. Bombs. The second major mechanic involves multiple bomb phases each time the boss shields. There are no fire, laser, or grenade mechanics while IP-CPT is shielded. The fight has 2 phases with waves of bombs. Each bomb phase has 2 waves of armed explosive, shielded bomb droids. The bomb droids will cast Blast Protocol over 30 seconds, and then explode to deal significant group damage if they are not destroyed. The shields can be removed by using the panels in the corners of the room. Each corner of the room has a console that corresponds to a specific shape and color. An icon will appear above a shielded droid and will disappear after that console is activated. After repeating this process several times, the shield will be removed and the bomb droid can be destroyed. The bomb droids have very little health, so are very easy to destroy once they unshield. Small turrets will spawn during every bomb phase, but can mostly be ignored if anything else is available and takes priority. 2 large enforcer droids will spawn each bomb phase. The large droids should be picked up by tanks and can be safely stacked. Mechanic 3. Escalating Exposure Debuff. The last mechanic we will discuss specifically is the Escalating Exposure Debuff. This debuff increases the damage taken from most mechanics in the fight. Stacks of this debuff are applied by taking damage from fire or lasers, or if a bomb droid explodes. The debuff lasts 30 seconds and caps at 5 stacks, with each stack increasing damage taken from certain mechanics by 8% in story mode. So if you get up to the maximum number of stacks, you'll take 40% more damage. Mechanic 4. Hardened Rage. At the end of the fight, the boss will begin a long, disproportionate intrusion response cast that will wipe the team if it completes. This cast is the Hardened Rage mechanic for the fight, and the boss must be defeated before it ends. Fight Timeline. As I mentioned earlier, this fight has a consistent and predictable timeline. At a high level, the fight proceeds as follows. Phase 1 involves attacking IP-CPT while dodging fire, lasers, and grenades for 1 minute. The boss shields at the end of the phase, or at 75% health. Phase 2 involves 2 waves of 2 shielded bomb droids. Turrets spawn during this phase, and large enforcer droids spawn in between waves of bomb droid. Phase 3 repeats Phase 1 mechanics with the team attacking IP-CPT while dodging fire, lasers, and grenades for 1 minute. The boss shields at the end of the phase, or at 50% health. Phase 4 involves 2 waves of 3 shielded bomb droids. Turrets spawn during the phase, and enforcer droids spawn at the beginning of the second bomb droid phase. Phase 5 repeats Phase 1 and 3 mechanics with the team attacking IP-CPT while dodging fire, lasers, and grenades for 1 minute. Phase 6 is IP-CPT's Hardened Rage cast that lasts 1 minute. Fire and laser mechanics continue in this phase, but no more grenades will go out. The boss must be defeated by the end of the cast or the team wipe. Fight Strategy. This fight is a great example of a simple fight that can feel very difficult at first. Avoid fire, lasers, and grenades, disarm bombs, and DPS down the boss. Easy, right? Each phase has pretty clear metrics to evaluate success, which can be really helpful for teams learning this fight. Each phase where the team is damaging the boss needs to remove 25% of the boss's health before the next phase begins. Each bomb phase also needs to disarm and destroy the bombs before they explode. If the team is not doing these things, then that's a clear indicator that some tinkering with strategy may be in order. Unfortunately, this fight does hamper melee DPS compared to range DPS. Lasers frequently fire at the center, and big grenades will force loss of uptime for melee DPS. A team can definitely beat this fight with any composition, but if there are a lot of melee DPS, some tweaking of strategy may be in order to deal with bombs and grenades. Here are a few tips that will help teams deal with this fight. Number 1, pre-assigned console duty. Each player should know their job during bomb phases. 4 players should have a pre-assigned console. I recommend those players include 2 to 3 DPS and up to 1 tank and/or 1 healer. Make sure to keep 1 DPS free to steadily burn down turrets and to kill the bombs when they unshield. A ranged DPS is particularly good for this role. Also keep 1 tank and 1 healer free to tank the enforcer droids and to triage team health respectively. Number 2, save buffs for phase 5. The DPS check for IP-CPT really begins after 50% when the boss unshields after the second set of bomb waves. Using raid buffs or big cooldowns during earlier phases won't really help you meet the overall enrage, as they'll simply cause the boss to shield earlier and make the team wait longer during phases 1 and 3. I suggest saving all your buffs to use at the beginning of phase 5, which should allow some of those offensive cooldowns to be used again just before hitting the enrage in phase 6. Number 3, try to stay as close to mid as you can during phases where the boss is active. It can be difficult for healers to keep people in range and to use AoE healing effectively, with people running around dodging lasers, fire, and moving grenades out of the group. Try to stay as close to mid to let them AoE heal you as much as you can, and only moving out of mid to dodge fire or lasers, or to take a big grenade out, but get back to mid as soon as you can. This also applies to range DPS. Don't stand way out of the group. Try to cuddle up with your buddies. Number 4, avoid running to the walls. It can be tempting to go to a wall with a grenade, or move to the wall to dodge fire or lasers in order to kind of give the rest of the team as much room as possible. Be careful of this though, because it can leave you stranded, as the delay between fire mechanics and laser mechanics is relatively short. So if you find yourself needing to travel a long distance and you don't have a movement ability available, you may get stuck. Only move as far out of mid as is necessary to keep the rest of your team safe, and otherwise stay close to mid. The closer to mid you are, the easier it will usually be to avoid fire and laser mechanics, and the easier it'll be for your healers. That's it for the first boss in R4. I hope this was helpful as a quick introduction and guide. I'm really looking forward to this content being released in the live game, and hope you enjoy it as well. Thank you very much.